Hey, I'm doing just a short Dinnertime Devotions today for Wednesday evening, June 17th, and I'm recording this several days in advance because my plan is, Lord willing, that I'm going to actually be camping on Wednesday evening, June 17th. But I didn't want to leave you without any Dinnertime Devotions for this week, so we're going to skip today in this video the Ask Me Anything and obviously the sharing of prayer requests, since I can't do that when we're not doing the video live. But I'll see you next week, June 24th, for those things. Today we're going to be looking at James chapter 1 again, and we're going to be looking at verses 19 through 21. So listen to these words. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Therefore, get rid of all moral filth and the evil that is so prevalent, and humbly accept the word planted in you, which can save you. So there are three important ideas that I want to focus on in this video today. First, I want to focus on the importance of listening rather than talking. So this is a common piece of advice that we get from all directions. A person does not have to be a Christian or somebody who believes the Bible to learn this wisdom that's just part of God's creation and part of our human experience. The wisdom that it is better to be a good listener than to be a persuasive talker. This is expressed in a few different ways. You know, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's better to keep your mouth shut and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. We need reminders like this. And so maybe all I need to say about this first point, where we read, everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak, maybe all I need to say is just to give you a challenge, give myself a challenge. For the next week, quiet your mind, quiet its production of outrage and ideas and opinions. Just be quiet, and instead, for the next week, just try to listen. Be curious. Try to understand people, especially people who, when they talk, they seem most wrong to you. Just quiet the ideas in your mouth, quiet the ideas in your mind, and try to listen. Be slow to use your mouth and quicker to use your ears. The next idea that I want to focus on is the next one that comes up here, that there's a link between being a bad listener and being an angry person. James says, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. He says those things right back to back as if they're like the same thing. In fact, the book of Proverbs teaches us this, that they are the same thing. Proverbs 17 verse 27 says, the one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered. So people who listen and have understanding are even-tempered. They don't fly off the handle. Isn't this true? Isn't it true that being quick to speak, being a bad listener is often associated with being an angry person? I mean, there are certain people who talk for a living, like pastors, or talk radio hosts, or people on TV who have their own shows named after them, or whatever. There's a certain stereotype among of people who talk for a living that many of them are just outraged and yell a lot. Why is that pastor yelling all the time? Why is that person on TV just outraged about everything? There's this stereotype, and maybe it's because of the truth that we see here, that being quick to speak is linked with being the kind of person who gets angry. Maybe all I need to say about this idea is the thing I just said, the same challenge. For the next week, try to quiet your mind. Try to quiet its production of outrage and anger. Try to do this for the next week. Just try to listen. Be curious. Try to understand people, especially the people who are who seem most wrong to you. When they talk, you just think, well, that's not true at all. Just stop and listen. Try to be a good listener. Let the other person be the person who gets angry. Here's the third thing the third point I want to make. It's the third point that James gets to here. That all of this, being a good listener, being slow to speak and quick to listen, being slow to get angry, all of this is associated with good Christian living. That's why it's important. That's why this challenge that I just gave you twice, the challenge of take the next week and try to be a good listener, try to just be slow to come up with conclusions or or get outraged at things. Just try to listen to people. That's why this challenge of quieting your mind, this trying to take up this habit for the next week, it's really not a challenge that you or I should just be taking up for the next week, or a habit that we should be just developing for a short period here. This ought to be a lifelong habit for us. The habit of being slow to speak and quick to listen and slow to get angry, because God tells us here that all of this is associated with holiness. Therefore, get rid of all moral filth and the evil that's so prevalent. In other words, pursue holiness. And this is what God says about it. This is what that means in this case. And humbly accept the word planted in you, which can save you. So there's a pretty clear reason why. There's a pretty clear reason why these practices are associated with holiness. And the clear reasons why, there's a big debate back in about verse 19, where James writes, everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak. Is James writing about quick to listen to God, or is he writing saying that everyone should be quick to listen to other people? And there's a big debate about this, and I'm convinced actually it's both. It is. James does mean, God is teaching us that we should be quick to listen to other people. And we know this because there's all those other verses in the Bible which tell us the same message. Be quick to listen to what other people are saying. That's certainly a biblical message. But when James is telling us here to be quick to listen, he's also telling us about being quick to listen to God. There's a connection between having the habit of being quick to listen to other people, being a good listener to others, and the habit of being a good listener to God. There's a connection between these things. A connection between humbly and gently listening to the people in the world and not getting angry when they start talking, and having that same habit when we go to God. Humbly and gently listening to God and not getting angry when we start reading things in His Word. Let's work on this habit together. The habit of being good listeners to other people and good listeners to God. Listen. Don't get angry. And you'll learn to do this, not just with other people, but you'll learn to do this even more with God. Well, thanks for watching this evening or this week. Thanks for watching this video. Maybe you're watching it another time. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope you have a good evening.